what was the structure of marriage that did not work? You know?
I think, oh, nobody ever asked me that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, what is the question?
I've been in and out of therapy ever since I became conscious that I needed therapy. And I keep going back to it. I might take a few breaks here and there, but it's pretty much like, you know, a kind of a gym for the heart and the mind. You know, I've got to keep it exercised. And there are different forms of therapy. I have done every kind of therapy there is. You know,
once an actor gets married, especially the females, career is finished. I mean, this happened to so many people. Women had to leave the industry and then maybe revive, come back to it, you know, resurrect it years later. But at that time, it's not like today. Today is so healthy. It's so wonderful. It's so wholesome. You get married, you fall in love, you date whoever you want to, you put your pictures out there. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's saying, we were told, no, it shouldn't be out there because then people don't think about you. They don't dream about you. Arey why?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Deepti Naval and Kalki Koechlin.
Thank you.
Deepti, as I said, Kalki, thank you so much for being here. And Deepti, you're not well, so extra thank you for not ditching us and still flying in and coming for this. A big round of applause for her.
Thank you, thank you.
As she said, she's an actor, so, you know, when the lights come on, the show must go on, you know. So, Deepti and Kalki, as I said, you know, this was an absolute jewel of a film, and it's just so tragic that it's gone away from the screens before the audience could really see it. I just want to capture for you that it's a film about a mother-daughter relationship. It's a classical singer who's got Alzheimer's and is losing, you know, her memory. And the way the daughter and mother reconnect, it's an estranged relationship. And, you know, the film takes off from there. I just saw the trailer before somebody actually sent me a link, and the trailer had me in tears. So I hope that this conversation will really make all of us, you know, literally by popular demand, bring the film back onto platforms so we can see it. So, Deepti, I wanted to ask you first that, you know, what made this film so special? You know, you were playing a role of a woman who's losing her memory, and you've said that you actually experienced that with your own mother. So can you talk to us about the experience of making this film and with dealing with your mother? You know, that what was that experience of someone like her, so close, losing her identity?
Yeah, see, when I heard the subject, when I heard about the film, it didn't take me very long to say, I want to do this. Of course, the film doesn't deal with dementia at a extreme stage, you know. It deals with early dementia, so it was kind of not that hard on me. I did go through this whole sort of trauma with my mother, seeing her decline. You know, when you see somebody so close and you're going down, it's a...
Can everyone at the back hear Deepti?
It's hard. Yeah, let me just sit a little bit like...
Yes. Oops.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little... So, yeah, it was cathartic, you know, I would say, for me. Because many times I sort of tended to overreact to a situation, whereas in the scene, it may not have required for me to be that. Do you remember a couple of moments we had when I was not supposed to cry, and and
That's
she
a
would,
peculiarity of Bhushan's. He doesn't like us crying.
He doesn't like you crying.
He's like, let the audience do the crying.
Right.
Well, so it did take me back. Yeah, every now and then, it took me back to my mother's situation, and yeah, it was.
I'm going to come back to you to discuss just how much of our personalities is memory, and you've written a book about childhood and how important memory was in creating who you are. But I just want to pull Kalki in here. It's in a strange way about how life chases art. Deepti was living out a particular arc with her mother, and you were living out also a particular arc with your mother. You've mentioned that you had a very fractious relationship with your mother, and here you were playing it out, and now you have a daughter, so you're in that wonderful bridge. What was the source of tension with your mother, and what kind of a mother are you?
Oh gosh, the source of tension with my mother. That she's crazy? No. I think we had a very rough time as a teenager because my father left my mother, and it was she went through a really deep depression, and I was kind of a caregiver to her at the time. Yeah, the roles were a little bit reversed, and then I felt a lot of angst and, like my mother is not taking care of me. So we did have a very tough time. And when my mother saw this film at IFFI, I think it was, she said, oh, it's a documentary on our lives. Just replace the goldfish with a squirrel and it's the same story. I was like, yes. So yeah, I didn't need to do much research there. But no, then I look at my daughter, who, is I've never fallen so quickly in love with someone, and I think, how will it get to that when she becomes a teenager and she's going to say, I hate you, Mom, How can I avoid this situation? So it is an in-between phase, and when I was shooting this, I was still breastfeeding. It was the first film that I was going to do after COVID and motherhood, and I remember I went 2 weeks early to acclimatize my daughter to a nanny because my nanny couldn't get a visa to go to London, so I had to get a nanny locally there. And I wanted them to get along, and she'd never been out. I had been her whole universe because I was there for COVID, so she just had me all the time. And she refused. She just refused to cooperate. She did not want to go with Nanny Manda. She just wanted to cling to me like a koala and not let go. And it was the day before shoot. It was like 10 p.m. at night. I had a 6 a.m. call time, and she was wailing and she was refusing to go to sleep. And then I just sat down on a park bench and I said, listen, Sappho, this film means a lot to me. I haven't worked in 2 years and I really want to do it. Now, I'm going to be here for you every night and every morning, but in between, I need you to go with Nanny Manda. The next morning, she fell asleep 2 minutes later. Next morning, she woke up and she said, where's Nanny Manda? I want to go with her.
Oh, wow.
It was like a huge learning for me as a mother to be like, I don't have to always be strong and cheerful, and, I can also be vulnerable and ask her for things. So this was a very exciting discovery in my journey so far as in motherhood.
Yeah, I was in fact just going to ask you that, given the difficult relationship you had with your mother, that what were the sort of lessons for yourself that you learned as a mother? Here's one of them. But I just want to tell the audience that Sappho's clearly a very, very understanding child, because her mother, before she was born, or just after she was born, called her an alien invasion, So
no, that was when she was just 4 months in my womb. Right. Yeah, I felt like she was an alien invasion then, yes, when I was throwing up and all that.
Yeah, so, as I was saying, both of you, both in life and in art, have broken the stereotypes, the kind of facades within which we live. So that book about mothering and pregnancy and anticipation of motherhood was really raw and, like I said, broke ground, can you talk about that what made you want to write that book, and what do you think was the heart of what you wanted to communicate to the audience with that?
Yeah, it's called The Elephant in the Womb, and it was written so my daughter was born, and 3 weeks later there was the first lockdown. And it was a very tough time because I had never been a mother before. I didn't know I wasn't very close to any of my friends who had young toddlers. So I was completely lost, and I was like, oh my goodness, how do I keep this thing alive? And if she was sleeping for more than 4 hours, I was literally putting my finger next to her nostril to check, is she okay? Because you're just like so tiny, and yeah, and nobody talks about all of that. So it was kind of a therapy for me to start writing. I carved out 2 hours, and thanks to my partner and to the help I had at home, to be able to do that. But 2 hours a day, just by myself, just writing, like kind of a memoir, and remembering what pregnancy and those early months of motherhood and sleeplessness and breastfeeding and all of those things were. And yeah, I think it just came out of this kind of shock of, oh, why did nobody warn me? Why did nobody tell me about all these aspects? And of course it's beautiful and wonderful, but there's also this very raw, lonely element to it, and I wanted to talk about that as well.
Right. So, Deepti, I'm just going to keep weaving in and out of your work and your life because it's so wonderfully intertwined. That one was this loss of memory, with your mother, and then which you're portraying on screen. But it's also interesting that, both of you actually have spoken about depression, the need for going for therapy, and a lot of that possibly, comes from that appetite for life, that what finally, you said that you would have gone mad if you didn't have cinema, art, poetry in your life,
Yes.
So what were the triggers? What would have driven you mad?
The time when I was going through depression, this was back in the 90s, right? One didn't reach out for therapy, somehow. It was something that was not openly spoken about. It wasn't addressed in a healthy manner. So you didn't go around saying, oh yeah, you said it to your friends, I'm very depressed, I'm going through depression, but not really seriously seeking help. It just didn't occur to you. That you felt if I was to seek help, it'll be out like, and how will it be interpreted? So there was always this little thing about, though I have studied abnormal psychology, in my years in New York where I graduated. But depression, for me, my art helped. That was the therapy for me. I painted like crazy, and I was writing poetry. I was writing all the time. I went down in my garage, and I set up, my easel there, and I was like painting 10.5 hours at a stretch, without a break, without food, without anything. The painting, which is called Smita and I, has come from one of those sessions. It happened right after Smita passed away, Smita Patil. And I just put that huge canvas up there, and I just started at it. And this period, during this period, painting helped me in a big way.
So, now that you look back, since we are talking about memory, what did you learn from, what was the triggers that, you said you were almost like a manic depressive, that, what were the triggers that were pushing you there?
Yeah, I would get into these cycles of depression. I learned it on my own that, yeah, this comes to me every, 25 days. I feel nothing in my life is going right. Everything is wrong. And, you start to question everything, even if things are fine. Things are okay, but you start to look at it in a very negative way. You start looking at everything as if, nahi, kuch theek nahi, kuch bhi theek nahi hai. So, I identified that, and I could see myself going down, lower, rock bottom. And then I knew that now nothing can help me. Now I have to help myself, I have to just pull myself out like that and kind of stay afloat. So that's how, because I was observing myself also. The actor in me was constantly observing myself. The painter in me was trying to fight it. And I think that's where all the poetry, Black Wind and other poems, the second book of mine, poetry, Black Wind, it comes from that very phase that I'm talking about. So I guess, I mean, for me, art.
And so I'm going to pull you back into the art. You said that you chose Goldfish in an instant before you even read the script because Kalki had already said yes to it. So describe her as an artist, you know, what made you say yes the moment you knew Kalki was in?
Yeah, I was speaking to this friend of mine, Rajit Kapoor. He said, ek film hai, Deepti, somebody else was doing it, they're not doing it anymore, so we are in a soup. So I said, what is this film? He said, it's about, it's a mother and daughter story, and the mother is suffering from dementia, and it's an estranged relationship between the mother and daughter. So, contrary to my relationship with my mom, which was like, I mean, I could swear by it, it was, but when I heard dementia, I said, you know, I just lost my mom, and I thought, am I supposed to play this role at this time? It has come to me at this time. I mean, why am I hearing this role? I'm meant to play it. So without thinking, I just said, yeah, this is probably for me. This role is for me. That's why he's telling me this. So I just asked him, I said, who is playing the daughter? And he said, Kalki. I said, yeah, I'm doing it. Pakka. Because I like her choice of roles, and I know her as an actor. I've seen her work. We did this film together, but we had no scene together. Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, am I correct? You are going to get me all wrong. Nahi milegi.
My grammar is contagious.
Zindagi nahi milegi, zindagi na milegi.
I even learned it. I said, Zindagi Na milegi dobara.
So I said, if she has said yes to the role, to the film, there has to be something good in it. So, and I wanted to work with her. So that's how we are.
Right. So, again, you worked with a lot of people. What was this particular, like I said, just the trailer made one cry. So clearly Pushan has achieved his goal. What was that experience of working with each other? What was the chemistry of it? How did you get into the heart and liver of your character? And what was she doing that made that, just the trailer so alive? I want you to talk about the film.
So, for me, the script was really, really strong, and it's rare to see a script that strong. Usually we're tweaking it, we're fixing it before, and here every line was loaded, and every line had 10 lines that weren't being said between the lines. And that was so well written that I was like, there's not much for us to do, except do a good job delivering it. Pushan gave me a few things. I had to get a British accent because, the idea was that we're really chalk and cheese, and I'm very much almost embarrassed of my Indian heritage as Anamika calls herself Anna Fields. Her father's name is, her father's British. So all of these things. So yeah, there was this preparation of being this sort of Oxcam British accent, posh girl who's, doing a PhD and blah, blah. But more than that, I think it was the setup that Pushan gave us. He shot this with 3 cameras, 1 camera on Deepti, 1 camera on me, and 1 camera taking the whole scene, which meant that there were you hardly needed to hear cut. The scene would flow from start to finish, and that's what you had. There was no need to kind of repeat something. you know, what you got in that moment was what you got. And Deepti, the experience I had with her is that she doesn't like to rehearse much, okay? So we would do the lines, we would do the scene, and she'd be saying the lines like, na, 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 you know, very like softly, gently, and I was like, oh, what a lovely, gentle mother she is. And then, you know, the camera would come on, and suddenly she would be like, haram kor. And I was like, oh, okay, wake up. So, you know, but she has this incredible power to be very present in that moment. And that is a great generosity to give a co-actor, because we just need to react. I need to react. And a lot of it was just that. It was just bouncing off each other, knowing that this is not going to be interrupted, that the director is just going to let us play it out.
Now you know why I'm being so enthusiastic about a film that perhaps none of you all have seen, you know, but it's a reminder, like I said, of just how much of wonderful work happens in our country and is like, you know, sidelined by the market. So, Kalki, you know, as I said, there's just so much of human emotion in this that one is really sort of mining the canvas of life. Deepti talked about her experience with depression. You wrote about postpartum depression. But you also, you know, went for therapy after your marriage with Anurag Kashyap broke up, you know. What were the kind of, I'll come to the marriage and, you know, all of that which plays into art as well. But this whole experience of going for therapy and of understanding yourself and with memory looking back to a painful period and understanding it differently, you know, give us some insights. What was it that you were, what is the journey you made during therapy?
Firstly, I want to say it's an ongoing journey. I've been in and out of therapy ever since I became conscious that I needed therapy, and I keep going back to it. I might take a few breaks here and there, but it's pretty much like, you know, a kind of a gym for the heart and the mind. You know, I've got to keep it exercised. And there are different forms of therapy. I have done every kind of therapy there is. You know,
you're making it sound like hot yoga.
Yeah, I really have. I've done, you know, regression therapy, and I've done regular therapy, and I've been to a psychiatrist, and I've done a lot of art therapy, workshops, body, you know, movement, healing through the body, many things. Anyway, just to say that, you know, there isn't just one way, and there are many, and as Deepti said, painting was a great therapy. For me, writing, if I'm really low, I just find writing has really, really helped. Yeah, what has this journey done for me? It's just given me the tools to understand myself better. And, you know, in a world where we are constantly sort of looking for outside validation, you know, with the social media and the way that things function today, it's really important to know who you are and where you're going before, you know, telling people to come along with you. You know, and I think a lot of the time we tell people to come along with us and then we figure out where we're going, you know. So I think it's that. It's articulating what you are, who you are, and what you need, so that you can then, you know, use it to go out in the world.
So if you were a character, you know, and you had to distill it, tell us who you are, you know, who are you and what are you? Since you've been trying a whole supermarket of therapies to come to that answer.
If I was a character, what do you mean?
Like if you were a character in a script, you know, and you had to just distill Kalki Koechlin as a...
I am a bored housewife who's a vigilante by night. I'd like to play that character.
Right. I'm not letting you off that easy. I'm coming back to you for more right now. But I just want to bring Deepti in here. You know that, coming back to art, Deepti, you said that you were always seen as this wholesome, wonderful girl next door, Miss Chamko, and that you actually detested that identity or did not want to be identified with that.
Yeah, because it was too far away from who I am as a person.
Yeah, so who are you? I'm going on asking both of you, who are you as a person? Describe yourself. You know.
I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I just do my work, and I think my lifestyle tells you more about who I am than a role that I have played. It's more like, yeah, you do a role well, Hindi cinema, yeah, you do one role well, and they think this is what you are. ये जो अच्छा बहुत किया ना, ये यही है. So till now I'm flooded with the Miss Chamko ka stamp. And I tell them, look, I've done other films also. Can you look at this? Can you look at that? No. But वो जो साबुन मतलब वो बस वहीं पे, everything ends with starts and ends with. And of course I feel very shortchanged because of that. I mean, by that. Because I always looked at myself as an artist, and I thought I had a range to play as an actor, and I have played, but nobody wants to go there. They're very happy with Chashme Badur and Chamko. So, I keep fighting it. I still fighting it. Abhi baat kar wo chalta rahega.
Right. Your smile is your downfall.
Yeah, complete.
Right. So, Deepti, I just want to press on that a little more. You said that when you got married to Prakash Jha, suddenly all offers dried up. Your art was stolen from you. And that, in a way, that tipped you over to depression. Was that also a source of tension? Two artistic people coming together, your art is stolen from you with marriage. Was there a loss of identity?
No, it's completely to do with the way the film industry was at that time. Once an actor gets married, especially the females, career is finished. I mean, this happened to so many people. Women had to leave the industry and then maybe revive, come back to it, resurrect it years later. But at that time, it's not like today. Today is so healthy. It's so wonderful. It's so wholesome. You get married, you fall in love, you date whoever you want to, you put your pictures out there. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's saying, we were told, no, it shouldn't be out there because then people don't think about you. They don't dream about you. Arey, why? What do you mean they won't dream about you? I mean, you're out there as an actor. You're doing a role. If you're doing that role well, you are going to be appreciated. ये कुछ convoluted सा था. Thank God, अब ये खत्म हो गया है. All that, I mean, I'm so happy that the girls today, they are living full lives and they are having their families, they are, having their babies and their careers, everything. I mean, it has to be just like a man. A man has his family life, he has his career, and life goes on. So should it be for women.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I think that deserves a
yes,
clap. It's so commonplace now, but it does. You're someone who's lived the non-presence of that as being commonplace. But Deepti, so, again using this thing about memory, that in another conversation, just as a little shard of something, you said that looking back, your marriage broke apart and you divorced Prakash. You, of course, then went on to find another love in your life. But you said that looking back, if you had given it a chance, thoda waqt dete, to it would have been okay. So I was interested again in memory. We look back on lives and you realize you could have played it differently. And memory is a big part of who we become, So give us...
Yeah, we've because we are great friends today. We've been great friends since the time we broke up. So
what was the structure of marriage that did not work?
I think, nobody ever asked me that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, what is the question?
You said you became great friends the day you broke up. So I was saying, what was about the structure of marriage that just didn't work for both of you?
I think some pressure. I don't like to go there because it would be talking about Prakash in a way that he's a very private person, So but I think it was just the pressure of being famous. Actually, I'm not able to, because it is, it's a, I don't think Prakash will be comfortable if I started to dissect it like that. But it's difficult, you know. I mean, if I'm the only person, I can talk about myself on and on and on. But another person involved who I respect a lot and regard a great deal, so it's difficult.
No, I would totally respect that. I'm just pressing one small button more before I move away, which is that if you look at yourself, you know, let's leave Prakash out, it could have been someone else. Just in that circumstance, what would you do differently? I'm more interested in how memory allows us to add on layers to our personalities, change the way we perceive our past, you know, so.
Yeah, I think when one was younger, one was more impulsive. That is the one word which has gotten me into trouble many times. You know, falling in love also impulsively, falling out or impulsive, you know, taking decisions impulsively, some kind of a, not very well thought. I mean, one made so many mistakes in life, you know, kya usko khata kholna hai. Lekin, but I think when I look back, I would like to, if I had a chance to relive phases of my life, I think I would do it more wisely with a bird's eye view in mind, looking at my life from a bird's eye view, so that I could see where I was going and I could see. But at that time when I was going through those turning points, I couldn't see obviously from this perspective that I can see now. So ये तो एक wishful thinking है कि अगर मैं वो phase अब जीती तो ऐसे जीती, but that's kind of, you know, it's surreal to even talk, you know, about that, ki how one could have done it. But I would say my being impulsive had a couple of.
Well, that's, being impulsive is absolutely fundamental to Deepti's nature, because I think she was 9 years old when she ran away from home because she'd watched too much cinema and
13.
she wanted to go to Kashmir.
No, 13. Teenage to hone do na, to dream about Kashmir, and because all the songs were picturized in Kashmir, all those beautiful romances happened in Kashmir. Kashmir itself was such a dream world, you know. When you see all the earlier films, Sadhna, Rajinder Kumar, Shami Kapoor, Asha Parekh, everybody is in Kashmir and they're living their lives. And I was in this walled city, living in Amritsar, with this chaotic neighborhood around me. And I thought, this is not the place for a girl like me to be in. I should be living, you know, looking at the Shikara rides and the, oh, wo sab tha. So like I said, I took a train, but I got caught just in Pathankot only, they caught me.
So anyway, I just wanted to tell the audience that wisdom is not your strong suit, you know. So Kalki, I just, you know, as I said, that I do want to look at that whole intermingling of life and art. Marriage is definitely a strand, and you know, it's really interesting. Both of you in different ways have had that kind of parallel circumstances. No two experiences are the same. You've both been divorced, you've both had depression. You have a difficult relationship with your mother, but she doesn't. So, you know, I'm just kind of doing the grid on both of you. So talk to us about marriage, you know, that
it's my turn, huh?
What's therapy that's not happening at every moment, right? So right here on stage. But, so yeah, do look back on that creative chemistry that you had with Anurag. And you have very publicly, and that's why I know I'm not intruding, you did say that that breakup did drive you into depression and you had to reconstruct your sense of self. And then, you know, now you have a long-term relationship, you've had a child but not entered back into marriage. So I wanted to understand your reading of marriage and your experience of marriage.
Are you married? Happily married?
Well, I have to say, yes, I am.
That's wonderful, touch wood. Is your husband here tonight?
We are also working partners, so if we survive another 10 years, you know we've done it well. You know? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was very young when me and Anurag met, and I think I was still at the phase where I was dating projects rather than people. And I don't mean that Anurag was a project, but for me, it was, oh my goodness, this is such a messy relationship. We're both messed up. We're both we're gonna save each other. You know, I had that sort of innocence about life, that sort of naivety at that age. And yeah, this sense of let's sort out the other person's problems rather than sort out your own problems. So I think, you know, we dived into that, and we obviously couldn't save the other person. It's, you know, you can only be responsible for yourself. So yeah, I think, you know, great expectations. Yes.
But so as I said, you know, you've clearly found love after that again, but you didn't enter that structure of marriage, as I called it. So, you know, that's what I wanted a reading on as well, that are you doing well outside marriage? You know?
Yeah, the giving birth out of wedlock was quite a thing in the press. Like something from another century or something. But, you know, we really didn't think about it. He had no interest in getting married. I had done it once, didn't work out so well for me. So we were fine with it. And actually, technically, we did get married because in COVID, we couldn't travel as a couple. So for the technicalities, we got a signature done at that time. But yeah, I think that it's a funny thing. Marriage is now in the context of LGBTQ community is a privilege. You know, it gives us certain rights legally, and for those reasons, it's great. But other than that, you know, it doesn't really, sort of give validation for the love between two people. That's going to be a different journey and a different struggle.
Right. So, Kalki, you know, both as an artist and a person, you've been very vocal. You do a lot of plays. You know, you've done a beautiful monologue called "The Soul of a Woman." You know, you've articulated being a feminist. So, if we were to look at the soul of you as a woman, you know, tell us what has gone into shaping that worldview, and as a woman, how do you kind of define yourself? How do you define feminism?
I mean, I think it's a big question. I think you stand up for yourself. You know, that's feminism. As a woman, you stand up for yourself, where you stand in the world, and I think we forget the power that we have. You know, women are more than half the world, and what happens to us affects generations. It changes. What happens to us will affect our daughters and our sons. If we are traumatized, if we are victimized, it will affect the DNA that our children grow up with. And for me, that consciousness, becoming a mother, understanding that if I am not empowered, how is my daughter going to learn it? I cannot tell her to be empowered. She has to see an empowered woman. And I think that is what's motivating me to keep going in this journey of feminism. And it's an endless journey. You know, there's constantly, I mean, we're still at this point where we're supposed to be superheroes, where we have to also be the domestic, managers at home, and kind of, go out and work and have a career. And there are times where, when I'm here, I want to be there. When I'm there, I want to be here. I'm really struggling. And sometimes I've got to just let daddy take care of baby, even if she has the most awful hairstyle going to school. It's okay, So giving away that control is hard for me. But it's part of it, and yeah, it's a constant journey. But I think what keeps me going is knowing that it's in our DNA. We're learning all the time, that our previous generations have given us something, and we need to move forward with it, you know?
So just before we end, you know, I wanted you to read a couple of lines from any of your poems. If from Soul of a Woman, that would be great.
Actually, I didn't choose from Soul of a Woman. She sprung this up on me just like 5 minutes before we came here. So it's from The Elephant in the Womb, you know, and being a mother. I just think it's the one that no one has heard, so it's more fun to do. So this is just one part of this poem, which is called I'm Okay. I'm okay. I'm okay with the efficiency with which one can do anything with 2 hands when one has been one-handed for most part of the day. One-handed texting, one-handed eating, one-handed grabbing for any kind of order or routine in my somnambulistic state of wandering, while the other hand holds, while the other hand carries, while the other hand is numb as she hangs off a shoulder or a nipple, and my mind folds and ripples at the thought of off-handed titles like maternity leave, as though we get to leave anywhere, anytime, for any moment, as though this weren't a full-time job and more demanding than anything I've ever dreamed.
That was beautiful. I think every woman will, and every woman in love with their child would still, you know, really identify with that. Deepti, let me just come back to you that we were talking about redefining ourselves as women, as actors. So if you had a magic wand and you were going to redefine the girl next door persona, you know, what would you do with it?
Girl next door. Girl next door would have to be very strong, completely independent, the spirit to move on despite all, you know, all odds. Somebody who has great dreams and is ready to risk whatever it takes to achieve those dreams. Adventurous, definitely, daring, and unafraid. Unafraid.
Wonderful. I think it's lovely that Hindi cinema has definitely moved the needle, that very often now the girl next door is actually the ones that are taking control of very meek men, and are usually the ones proposing marriage as well. You know, so that I think women have come a long way, even on cinema. You know, so I'd just like to end with asking you that one sort of role where you felt the artist in you was satisfied. You know, where someone had spotted your true potential and you could play it.
There are more than one. One film directed by Amol Palekar called Ankahi, where I thought I got the chance to, you know, give something which is more internal, you know, something that I could bring out of me. Another film is Sudhir Mishra's film called Main Zinda Hoon, and then another film called Leela, where I play this NRI woman, and most of all, Goldfish.
Yeah. Well,
Goldfish.
What about you, Kalki? Is there a kind of role where you felt you were given enough meat to chew on?
A few, yes. Margarita with a Straw, definitely. Yeah, even Devdi in certain ways, and Goldfish. Ribbon, waiting, you know.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Waiting.
But I also feel like I learned a lot from playing Aditi in Ye Jawani. I learned a lot from playing Faiza in Made in Heaven. You know, I think I can't. It's like having lots of babies. You love them all.
I'm just going to ask you to do something now. I'm really springing it on you. Because of the way Kalki looks, everyone assumes she's a foreigner. It's amazing that she's had this array of roles because you could so easily have been typecast. But it came as a surprise to me to know that you not only speak Hindi really well, you speak English, but you speak Tamil perfectly. So to this uncomprehending audience, let's end this as a tribute to India, that you can never tell who's who in this country by giving us, a message in Tamil.
நான் பெரிய முதலிய சவதியில் பிறந்தேன். யாரோ இங்கே தமிழ் பேச முடியுங்களா? எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா?
Wonderful. Now be a good AI tool and translate that for us. Did you just abuse all of us?
No. I would never. I said I'm from a small village called Periyamudaliya Chavadi. I said, is anyone here Tamilian? And yes, how are you guys doing?
Well, what perhaps not many of us know is that Kalki has a real name which is not out there in public, and that's Kanimani. Kanmani.
Yeah.
So to Kanmani and to Deepti, thank you very much for that peep into your lives and your art. It's been wonderful having both of you here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.